Ho, 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 and greetings, friends and fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Del Puckett here, and welcome to another installation of Tech Tip Tuesday. All right, so in this video, I'm going to be disclosing probably my best kept secret. It's never been disclosed before, and of all of the secrets that I've done videos on tips and techniques and tricks and whatnot, this is probably the best one. And it has to do with the positioning of the nut in relationship to the rest of the frets. You ask yourself, what's so important about that? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Let me start off with a disclaimer and a problem statement. First, the disclaimer. I am not Santa Claus. All right, don't let the beard and the red hat fool you. I am not Santa Claus. I'm Santa Claus's little helper. And this is not snow, it's sawdust. All right, so that's the disclaimer. The problem statement here. So I dug through one of my old builds, number 2 here. And this was back in the day when I used to build with nuts. And I followed the template to the T. And this action here is it's not incredibly low and it's not incredibly high. It's like medium action, so you could actually play slide on here. But here's the problem though. So if I'm going to be pushing this string down to the fret to fret it, right? What I'm doing is I'm increasing the tension. I'm actually bending the string, so it's going to be a little bit sharp. Okay, so in a perfect world, this would be perfect in a perfect world, but I'm actually having to bend the string slightly by pushing it down to get to the fret, and by me bending that string a little bit, it's making it just a little bit sharp. Here, listen to the sound. So this is open. This is the 3rd fret. See how out of tune that is? Here's the 5th fret. That's way out of tune. If I was to plug it into a tuner, this would be A sharp, this would be G sharp, right? So what I used to do to compensate for it would be to tune that string a little bit flat so that all these notes would be good and then just avoid the open string. But anyhow, so this is how I've rectified that problem. Check this out. So most of you who follow this channel know that I just use these templates, the double-sided tape. I tape the template to the fretboard, and I use this Mighty Mite little table saw and my little jig here, and I cut out the frets. Okay, so that's all old news. But anyhow, so in this particular video, I'm going to point out some little tricks here. So I'm putting the phone down, and I'm only going to use one hand, so this might be a little tricky here. But see that double line? So what I like to do typically is line up the. This is so hard. Okay, there you go. I line up that double line with the fret. And then I'll cut the fret slot. Line up the double line with that fret slot and cut it exactly. Okay, so I do this for all the frets except for the nut. Now see on that nut, see I put a little ghost line on here? I don't know if you can see that. So I put that little ghost line. So I actually shift the nut, or the 0 fret here, about the thickness of a saw blade toward the frets. Right, so I would actually cut this guy right here, right there, instead of right here. Does that make sense? So I'm actually shifting the position of the nut, and this is how it sounds. So here's one of my more modern recent builds, number 270. This is a brick house made with real bricks. So I'm tuned up. And listen to these notes down here. Here's the 3rd fret. Delicious. Here's the 5th fret. So these are rich sounding chords. So what I've done essentially by moving this 0 fret or the nut closer is I've relatively moved all the frets down. Okay, so in relationship to this fret. So on a normal system, if you wanted these notes that are sharp, you'd have to move each fret down just a little bit so that when you push your string down, they would be the right note. Well, that's a lot of work, and that doesn't make sense, right? So it just makes more sense to take this note, or this fret, and move it up just a little bit, ever so slightly and ever so subtly, so that when you push the string down, it's now in perfect tune. Does that make sense? I know this is a subtle little trick, but man, oh man, does it make a big difference. There's a lot of high-end guitar manufacturers. I know Taylor Guitars incorporates this into their builds. You can actually buy shelf nuts. There's this thing called the Buzz Feiten tuning system, which is a system designed to address this problem. But by simply repositioning your nut or your 0 fret, the thickness of a saw blade closer to your 1st fret, man, I'm telling you, the results are phenomenal. So yes, I might not be Santa Claus, but Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoyed that gift. You're welcome.